We are on.
Testing, testing, 1, 2.
We gotta get some microphones.
We do.
Listen, it is. What time is it? 7:46, right? And you said we have an hour, right? And we're gonna be on. So we're not gonna be on long. We gotta tell you about our day first off.
Okay.
Today is Thursday, right? We get up. We were I almost said snowed in, but we were not snowed in. What we do today?
We hung out. We did some errand running.
Mm-hmm.
We did some pickups. Went to the store. Went to the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do? What else
We
do?
got some mighty crabs today.
We got some mighty crab today, of course.
Which
And
was delicious. So
just a lot of hanging out. Just got through doing assembly.
y'all,
We just got to put together what's that?
a desk.
A corner desk.
And that was something that probably should have took us,
An hour,
if that took us how long?
3 hours. A long time. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. The table, let me tell y'all, we got this desk table. And we was doing really good for a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? We was doing really good, and then we messed up on the part. Well, actually, we had to flip the table over, and then when we flipped it, I broke the slide part that goes on the desk to where you put the keyboard on, you pull out. So I broke it. And I can own that, okay? Because he looking at it like, yeah, I didn't do that. But I broke it, and so we had to kind of be creative to fix it. But the table turned out really, really nice. I love my table. Right.
Turned out good.
It turned out really well. It looks very pretty in the corner. All my stuff, it looks very nice on there. And then we do have another table coming, one next week and one coming the week after. And hopefully that one will be assembled.
Right.
That took a lot of energy. Oh, we got it. It took a lot of energy out of us, but the fun part was that we did it together.
Right.
We were doing really well. We was happy about it. We had a couple hiccups, but it was okay. It worked out okay. So we had a really good day today, pretty much. We was productive.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mighty Crab was amazing. Now, we didn't go eat in Mighty Crab this time. We ordered our food and brought it home and ate it. And what was the movie that we watched?
What's the name of that movie? Bridgerton.
Yes, good job. You remember, you liked it.
No, I didn't like
Yes,
it.
you did. You
No,
act
I
like,
don't like it.
babe, stop. You liked it. I can tell by you way you smiling.
It was alright.
I wanted him to check out this movie called Bridgerton, and it's actually a really good movie. It's on Netflix, right?
Right.
On Netflix. And so he tried to act like he didn't like it at first time, like, but you can tell by his face, he was getting into it, because we were doing some things while we was watching it, and his focus was on Bridgerton. True or no?
It was okay. It was okay.
He liked it.
Very different.
He liked it.
Yeah. What was it like in the England Times or what time
Yeah,
was
it had like a black queen and black what's the guy?
The Duke of
Duke.
the Duke of Harrington.
Yes. Look at you,
It was trash.
babe.
Anyway.
You
That was trash.
you like the movie. Don't even. Oh, excuse me.
Well, tell them why we here.
So tonight we are here, and we will not be here long. We said a solid hour, if that. Right? And so we're talking about life after a divorce. A lot of people don't really like to talk about that. Don't really like to talk about divorce or how they got to divorce. But those are things that you need to, if you've ever been married and divorced, we know that it's the marriage journey is a journey by itself, and then the divorce is a journey. It's a whole process, and you have to talk about it because people, I see people suppress it a lot, and then because they suppress those feelings that they didn't express, um, during the process of getting a divorce, they end up taking it into the next relationship, and then that person ends up bearing the weight that should have been lifted when you got a divorce, but because you didn't go through that process of, I was married, it didn't work out, all those feelings that come with it, then we take it to the next marriage, and then you have the same problems, right? So we want to kind of talk about life after a divorce. You want to start or you want me to start?
Go ahead. Start.
Okay. For me, when I first got married, the first time I got married, I had this idea of what marriage looked like. I thought you find you a guy that is a good protector, a guy that's a good provider, a guy that goes to church, and just an overall nice guy. You find you a good guy, you get married, you have kids, you live happily ever after. That was my idea when the first time I got married. And I think that's a perception that is kind of, built or not even built, maybe just kind of important in us, as young girls, that you find a good guy, you get married, you have children, you live happily ever after. And when you go into a marriage, especially your first marriage, thinking that this is how it's going to be, and then it doesn't turn out that way, then you have whole sorts of feelings as a woman. You feel like I failed. Not only did I fail my husband, but I failed the marriage. I failed God because I made a vow to my husband. I made a vow to God. I made a vow in front of my family and friends that I was going to be with this man to death do us part. That we was going to honor each other, love each other, and all that good stuff. And you really mean it. You know what I mean? Nobody gets married to get a divorce.
That's not the intentions, no.
Right. No one gets married to get a divorce, but unfortunately it happens.
Right.
And so first we got to deal with I was married and it didn't work out. Right?
Yeah. Well, you got to also deal with, if you're dealing with divorce, you also have to deal with the reasoning. When you sit back and look at it, why did it not work out?
Right.
So what were some of the reasons that your marriage did not work out?
Right.
Give me some of the reasons that your marriage.
Well, some of the reasons why my first marriage did not work out is
without this is not time to, what I mean. We're not shaming anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
This is speaking.
Taking ownership of your part. We definitely don't want to encourage the blame game, because anytime you get a divorce, it is not just one person. It is my part, your part, and we have to just own our stuff. So we're not on here to bash the ex. He did this wrong or she did this wrong, and that's how we no. You take ownership of your part, right? And my part in the uncoupling of my first marriage was I failed to date long enough. I failed to really get to know him like I should have. I failed to do the research. A lot of times we depend on other people to give you insight on the one that you're marrying, but we have a responsibility to ourselves as women, as men, to do your own research on your partner. If he says he's done this or he's done that, it's okay if you do a background check. It's okay if you just dive in and really get to know him as a person and not what you've heard.
Check?
Yes, a background check.
What you mean?
All that. Huh?
What you mean?
I mean, just kind of, don't just stop at it, just what he tell you, but really, Talk to people that's been with him for years. Get their insight. Just kind of date him long enough to get to know him. And it's not always about how long you date. It's about how well you date. We can date somebody for 5-10 years and know this much about them. You can date 5-10 years and know that much about them. So it's your responsibility as a woman, and I have learned that the hard way, to do your own research on your partner. You have the right, especially if you have children that's coming into it, you have the right to say, I am going to research this guy. I'm going to watch what he's doing, what he's saying. Is he a family guy? Is he a church guy? Is he this? Is he that? You have a responsibility to yourself and to your children to really do that work on that person, whoever that you plan on marrying. So that was one thing that I failed at. Is things were going great, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. Instead of really stretching out the dating process and really getting to know him like I should have. Not saying he was a bad guy, but you need to know what you're getting into, all of it, not just a piece of it, but all of it.
So the preparation of getting married, finding out who that person is before you got married was part of the problem.
It's part of my problem on my end. Yeah. What about you?
There's so many.
Very fair.
There's so many.
And these are red flags that we ignore and we choose to, but we move on anyway.
Well, you have to block out the opinions of other people when you're looking at someone to marry. The opinions of other people and how they feel about your relationship shouldn't be.
Yes, Josh, I still have my tree up and it's not going down.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be one of the things that that you put in the forefront of marrying someone by somebody else. Expectations or their opinion shouldn't be the forefront of you marrying someone. It shouldn't be the reason of a child being born. It shouldn't be the reason of
it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. All those different things that we was told growing up, and if I would be so boldly to say, when I was growing up, one thing my mom was always so strict about was shacking. Anybody know what shacking is?
Oh yeah, we all got that life.
You know about shacking?
Yep.
And that was one of the things that it was like a deadly sin to shack.
Yeah.
And I never understood the reason why shacking was on the top of the list of things not to do when you're trying to marry someone. I don't know, and I haven't researched, is shacking in the Bible as something as a sin. Now that I don't know. I will get back. I will study and get back with that because I never found out. I only seen shacking to benefit a person that's going to get married. Me personally. And that could be going against what the Bible says. I haven't researched it, so I don't know.
You think that it's wise to live with a person before you get married?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You understand? Because
you can live with a person and not have sex.
Well, now that's a fact.
So it's not the living with someone that causes the sin. It's what it can lead to. The fornication is what living together, being under the same household can lead to, is the fornication.
Yeah.
Josh said, how will you know how they are? That's true. See, that was the thing too with my first time getting married, is I was in la la land with how things were supposed to go according to what's been instructed.
We get wrapped up in that.
We get wrapped up in what we've been taught.
We've been wrapped up
versus the reality of what once the wedding is over, once everyone has thrown you the rice They, hey, good job, congratulations. Once all that fun stuff is over, then you're actually married.
It's work to be done.
You go home to this man. You go home to this woman. You wake up to this man. You wake up to this woman, and now we're not in la la land.
Marriage is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Marriage is a full-time job, meaning that you're going to have to do some work after the beautiful ceremony and all those different things that you get caught up in, with the glitz and the glamour of the wedding. But the marriage is when work has to be done.
That's right. After the wedding.
After the wedding. So me not knowing, and I almost want to say that it's almost, and you can correct me, it's almost better for a person to already been married before.
Oh, there's benefits the second time around. If you go through the process and you do things right, then and God allows you another opportunity to experience marriage again, it is beneficial to you if you go through the process and you seek God and you figure out where I went wrong and how can I make it right. Not trying to figure out where he went wrong or where she went wrong. This is your journey, right? So we have to not blame the other person for where we went wrong. So once you seek God and say, Lord, show me my wrong, my faults in this divorce, so that I can correct it and be prepared and be better for the next person. So yeah, the second time around is wonderful if you do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything that you do is it's a learning process.
Right.
And marriage is if you want to learn more about who you are, get married. If you want to know who you are, get married. Because that other person on the other side of you will teach you exactly who you are. Sometimes you might not want to see who you are. And the reveal of the veil being let up off of you and showing you who you are, sometimes it's like it's embarrassing. Sometimes
it's hurtful.
It's hurtful. It's scary when you find out really who you are, and you won't find out really who you are until you're really be vulnerable and married or being with somebody for a period of time. Yeah. You start to find out who you are. So, it's up to you to accept who you are.
Well, know who you are.
And know who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you go into any marriage not knowing who you are, sometimes when you get married, most people, to generalize it, most people, when they first get married, it's their first time, like I just said, and they're not going in with the mindset of how marriage is.
Because they don't know when your first time getting married. You're navigating the unknown.
Yeah. So
you have this perception of what people told you it would be like. It's a concept.
It's a
right.
concept that you
but
thought out.
you don't really know.
You don't know. But marriage is going to teach you who you are.
It will.
It'll teach you who you are.
Whether that marriage works or not, we learn something from it. Even our first marriages, we learned something from it. And if you didn't learn anything from your marriage, from your divorce, then you still got work to do.
When you're coming out from being married and then go through a divorce, it's a lot of different things that you go through mentally.
You go through the guilt. A lot of people feel guilty, because
you go through the blame game. You want to blame, everything.
It's that person's fault. It's your fault.
You want to look good.
No one wants that. That's another thing about divorce is no one wants to be the bad person.
Nobody wants to be looked at as the bad person.
I don't want to be the one to foul. I don't want to be the one that people said did wrong. I want to come out squeaky clean. And you're not going to be squeaky clean when you're coming out of the divorce because it's hurtful.
But it goes back to what I said earlier, because when you already base your actions and things that you do according to what people think, then you already gonna go into. If you're going into it like that, you're already wrong. If you're coming out of it, you're gonna be wrong. Anything you do to try to please people.
Right.
See, a lot of people want to save face because of what people think. You know, if I fouled first, it looked like it was my fault.
No,
Or it was her. It was her fault.
Right. Or if I filed for the divorce, then that person left me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I don't get a lot of the blame because I didn't file for the divorce. That person filed for the divorce, so it's not on me. You wanted the divorce, so no one wants to be, you know, no one wants to be the bad person.
I learned a lot, meaning that, well, my personality already is built on not caring what people think.
Right.
So I say that, but then I got divorced, and me not thinking that I didn't care what people think
Changed.
because I cared what people think.
Yeah.
When I got divorced,
You didn't want to be. You didn't want to be looked at like the bad person.
and in a relationship or in a marriage, when you separate, and it's just how it is, the man is usually considered to be, I say,
At fault.
50-60%.
That's true. Most of the
70%.
time, it is. It
It's
is
looked upon as a man to be
yeah,
the problem.
Yeah.
You know? In most cases, it's not. In most cases, men take it.
In some cases.
In some cases.
Yeah, not most, but in some cases.
If I'm going to be personal, I'm going to tell you in my case. In my case, it wasn't.
Right.
So I looked, and I was looked at as the problem. And I accepted it to be the problem. That's when I learned that I really has to be a person that don't care about what people think. I had to have peace for myself.
Right.
Yeah, right? And in that, I also learned that in that marriage, I wasn't without blemish.
Right.
I had faults. Maybe, because see, a lot of times, what people do also is they itemize, or they which one is bigger. You cheated.
But I lied.
I lied. Right.
You were abusive.
So you are more.
But I was neglectful.
Right. So you're more in fault than me because your fault is more bigger than mine.
Per society.
Per people that's paying their opinions on
Yeah.
who's in fault and who's not in fault.
Right.
But when you coming out of divorce, when you accept, it's the only way you'll be able to move on and to be able to be good.
Is to accept your part.
Is to accept what you've done.
What you've done.
What you've done.
The other person may never own up to what they did wrong. They may never own up to their part, but it's okay because your journey is not about them. Your journey is about you. God is trying to show you to do a self-evaluation.
Yeah.
To figure out where did I go wrong in this, and how can I correct what I did wrong. We go through so much blaming the next person, the other person. You did this, you did that. If you had been a better wife, I would have done this. If you had been a better husband, I would have done this. When in all actuality, it takes two. You know, you don't get a divorce on your own. You don't get married on your own, and you don't get a divorce on your own. So there's fault in both. Right, and so that's one thing that people need to realize is that, you know, divorce is not a one person blame game. It's we got married together, we got divorced together. Period. And there were signs or red flags that we both missed, that we both neglected. Just figure out what your part was, and don't try to, you know, carry his cross. Or carry her cross. You just carry your cross. Figure out, Lord, show me what I did wrong.
And be honest. Be honest.
You gotta be honest about it.
Be honest.
Because if you're not honest about it, what happens? You take it into the next one, and then you blame that one.
You have to,
right.
You have to be honest.
Right.
You have to be honest in the situation. You have to be honest and be realistic and be sit down and really think about. This could have, the way I acted, could have triggered this to happen. Right. If I wasn't acting like this, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I had to accept my responsibility of doing A.
Because there were things that you could have done differently.
And there are probably things that could prevent things from happening.
That's right.
You know, but you know, like I said, but when you starting out and you don't know, that's why I say it's almost better if you in a marriage, you can learn, and you know,
If it doesn't work out, make sure you learn from it. Make sure that you first forgive yourself.
right,
And I think forgiveness is something that's hard for us to do after a divorce because it's so hurtful. Whether you want the divorce or not, because I've seen people have divorce parties. Whether you,
that's crazy.
whether it was the right thing for you to do or not, to get a divorce and to leave your husband and wife, it's still hurtful, and it's still leave you feeling like I may have failed. I failed in the marriage, because I didn't say I do to say I don't, right?
Right.
So you have to forgive yourself. You have to go before God and say, Lord, I tried. I did my best, and I'm sorry, that I did not, that I couldn't see it through.
Yeah. You have to come to that point.
Yeah.
After the smoke is cleared.
After the smoke is cleared,
Yeah.
then forgive yourself so you can find peace.
And forgive that person.
And forgive that person, whether they ask you or not. They may not ever ask you, can you forgive me? I'm sorry. Some people would never own up to their wrong. And that's okay because your journey is not about them, right? So when you get a divorce, once, like you said, once the smoke has cleared, then you forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us feel like we failed when we get a divorce. You may have children, and you've broken the home up a little bit, and so you feel all these mixed feelings about I'm hurt, I'm failed, that I know it was the right thing for me, right? So you forgive yourself, and then you forgive your partner, forgive your ex-husband or your ex-wife, because just like you struggled, they struggled too. We might not struggle in the same way, but it was probably just as hard on them as it was for you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna be controversy, and then people
Lord,
people might not understand this.
What's that?
All marriage is not meant to last long.
I know that's a fact.
All marriages ain't meant to last long.
No.
Sometimes God placed you into a marriage, and reason I know because my marriage didn't last long.
Well, it lasted long.
Your
first marriage did last long.
But my marriage I believe, was for a lesson to be taught.
It's for a season
on both parties.
Yeah.
So you have to take what God gives you. You can't be, because like I said, nobody wants to get into a marriage and then later on thinks about a divorce.
Right.
But once things start going to where you find yourself unequally yoked, you might have gotten married thinking that you was yoked up and you think you was all
yoked up.
You know what I mean? You might, because sometimes you get married and you already wrong. You doing it and you're not even considering all the different things you're supposed to consider before you get married, because the second time around you do.
Oh yeah, the second time around you
do everything right.
Your antenna is all the way up.
Oh yeah.
You're watching him, you watching her, you're listening.
That's why I say all marriages, if you coming into a marriage and you haven't done that, it's not a guarantee if you don't fix it in the time frame that you are still married.
Because timing is everything.
If you don't fix that, then it's probably everybody can't go.
Right.
You might have sinned somewhere else.
So.
Or you might have sinned and she might not have sinned, or she might have sinned and you might still be here.
Right.
And then that makes you grow apart.
Right.
So that calls for you to separate.
Right.
That calls for you to divorce.
Right.
But if you...
But no marriage comes without some form of an experience that you can appreciate.
You don't go through life, you grow.
Through life.
Huh? See, I came up with that.
Very nice, man.
You have to grow through.
Right, but what I'm saying is that, like we talked about, appreciating the journey, good and bad, right? Mm-hmm. We were married before. The marriages didn't last; they didn't work.
Right.
but there were still some good times that make you appreciate it, and you know that it added to your knowledge, it added to your wisdom, it helped make you the man that you are.
Absolutely.
It helped make me the woman that I am. So
Absolutely.
you take it, you embrace the journey, you embrace the lesson that you learn from it,
Yeah.
and you move on.
The thing is, see, we not our ways of thinking is not the ways that God thinks. See, God plant trial or put trials in your life so you can learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's a trial that's put in our life, so it's gonna be, oh, you're making it hard for me. Oh, I can't, da da da.
Mm-hmm.
But those trials is put into your life so you can learn from it. It's supposed to make you stronger. Once you come out, it's supposed to make you stronger.
Right.
So the things that you go through after coming out, you're supposed to learn from the things you went through,
Mm-hmm.
so it can make you stronger
Right, and wiser.
and wiser.
Yeah.
So divorce could be a good thing.
Be like that.
I'm just saying.
No, it can't. It absolutely can be a good thing.
Divorce can be a good thing, and you know.
If God leads you, and that's a whole nother topic
And
there
if you,
too.
and if you learn,
If God don't lead you out, then you stay there until God leads you out. Because when God leads you somewhere, He's already prepared the place, right?
Yeah.
When I went before God when I was married my first time, and we were having issues, and I was struggling for years, with some things, and I knew that I couldn't make a move without God.
See?
And I knew,
See?
I knew that I said, Lord, either condition me to weather this storm, however long you see fit for me to weather the storm, or you give me the green light to get out.
Be careful what you pray for.
And you be careful what you pray for. But I sought God for every step of the way. And when I came to God, He came to me, and He said, I've already prepared the way. And when He said, I've already prepared the way, when I stepped out, when I tell you that it all worked out, it literally all worked out. And it don't mean that I ran to another man. It meant that God had already, that I had experienced my season in that marriage, and it was time for me to move on.
Let me tell you, the reason why I say divorce could be a good thing, and I know that sounds crazy, but divorce helped me to get closer to God. You understand?
Yeah.
And so I can't say that God, that was His plan. I don't know, but I do know that everything.
It was His plan. Everything that happened was His plan. First, the marriages that didn't work, it was a part of your season.
Right.
Just like you said, not all marriages are meant to last. He said what He put together, let no man tear apart. But it don't mean that everything that we do, God put it together. He allowed it. He allows us to do things, but it doesn't mean that He orchestrated. It doesn't mean that He put it together. So when God puts something together, you can tell.
Right.
It lasts. It works. He said I add no sorrow to my blessing. So when he bless you, you're not crying every night over it. When He bless you, you're not hurting every night over it. When He bless you, you're not struggling on the inside trying to figure out why am I here. I'm just saying. And sometimes that means being by yourself. Because you have to go through that phase too after the divorce. Spend some time with yourself. Get to know yourself again. Get to love yourself again. Figure out, what do I really want in a marriage? What does marriage look like to me? Right? And once you figure out what I desire, not only what you desire, you ask God, Lord, show me what you desire from me. What type of husband do you want from me? What type of wife do you want me to be? What type of marriage do you want me to have? And then you start moving in a way that aligns with what God has for you. And then He'll start fixing you and conditioning you in preparation for your husband.
Being married on your own will and doing things on your own will is going to cause difficulties in your marriage.
Unnecessary.
It's going to cause a lot of difficulties in your marriage. I'm just going to be honest with you. I did that thinking that I could do it. You don't say that out loud, but in your mind, you think you can fix everything. You think you can do everything.
Yeah.
Going through a marriage with not having direction from God, and
So you saying
it's going
did you go before God before you got married the first time?
no, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you go see after you divorce, then you start thinking of the things that I should have done,
That's true.
what I shouldn't, who I shouldn't have listened to, what I should have did, da 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 da. So then you're like, ah. So then you think about what happened in my marriage, the reason why this. So now you know that was the rolling stone of how things start rolling to this and that and this and that and this and that. So now you got to, oh, okay. So now I understand. So you just learned, you know, who you were and how to move better once you're out that storm. You know, once you going through, because you don't go in a marriage and you just automatically start going toward divorce.
No.
You in a marriage and you see yourself going to a way, away from being married, away from that love that you said when I said I do with the wedding. You see yourself ascending to another place, away from all that love that you had. Da 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 da. This come to place. This come to place. So when you, like you said, alone, you start thinking about those places like, this is the reason why. That's the reason why I let that right there creep in. I shouldn't let that happen. I shouldn't let that happen. You know,
You have regrets.
You have regret, but you also start learning.
You start learning about yourself. Yeah.
But that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
That's why we here on this earth, to learn.
Right.
Learn. We go through trials. We face different things that that we don't want to face, that we have to go
Unexpected
things.
Yep.
But the key is, if you don't have the direction, if God's not giving you, if you're not praying to get a direction from God,
He's the key.
then you'll never be able to navigate through a good relationship, a good marriage, or none of that. And that's what I'm saying. What happened when you start off marrying somebody and you start off wrong.
Yeah.
Or you start off with the wrong intentions because you don't know what marriage is like.
Right.
Nobody didn't really tell you. You got a concept of what you seen on TV from what your mama said, and you put it all together and said, okay,
or
this
how
is
you saw your parents, because a lot of us look at our parents and say, I want a marriage like that. And sometimes we are blessed enough to have parents that are good role models for how a marriage, should be. And sometimes we have to navigate life on our own and figure out what works for us. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the end of the day, you need to seek God for the marriage that you desire for yourself. And that's something that I learned through my divorce, is I no longer want to have a marriage that is acceptable to society. I no longer want to have a marriage that the church people deemed as being successful, or they deemed as being appropriate. But when we got together, we talked about how we wanted our marriage to be, how we wanted our home to be, and so no one else was a part of that. It was a discussion that we had because we wanted our vision to be our vision.
Right.
What type of what do I expect from my husband? What do I expect from my wife? So you make sure you make your marriage personal, not what other people expect it to be.
Right.
But you make it however you run your home with your husband, with your wife. You make sure that you guys are on the same note, that you guys are on the same page. I don't care if another one of your homegirls say, "Well, you doing this for your husband? You should be." No, if it works for you and your home, you tell her, "We're good. We run our house the way we see fit, and we wake up happy, and we go to bed happy. So we're good." So that was one thing I did learn with my divorce, is to make my desire for what I wanted my marriage to be personal. And it's okay to really take your time and seek God to figure out what He desires. Because some people are meant to be married, and some people are not. You got to, that's the reality of it. If you keep getting it wrong, then you need to look at yourself.
You out of line.
Even if you get it wrong the first time, that was something that we had to learn. Is it's easy to say he hurt me or she hurt me, so they're the reason that we got a divorce. No, everything that we go through, everything that we experience, and you taught me this, babe. Everything that we go through and we experience, we have to first circle back to self, right? What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? What did I do wrong? And how can I change myself or the way I move to where I can better the relationship?
Right.
Right. So, life after a divorce, forgive yourself. Ask God for forgiveness, and then forgive your mate. Don't carry that weight in your heart that he did you wrong or she did you wrong. You got to let it go. If you want to be happy, now if you want to hold on to that anger and you want to hold on to that bitterness and you want to walk around, with a frown and walk around hating men or hating women, then you do that. You won't live long.
Let the bitterness
Let it go. Let it go and just say, Lord, I'm sorry.
Let everything go.
And then forgive yourself because we feel like we failed when we get a divorce.
Let it go.
And it's okay. If you've done your best, and even if you didn't do your best and it happened, forgive yourself and say, Lord, show me.
Yeah.
So that I can do better, so that I can be better for myself,
right,
for my children, and for whatever mate that you have in store for me.
Yeah.
And then don't do the blame game.
Right. Right. Let that person heal and
in their own way.
In their own way.
Yeah.
And do as much as letting that person heal. Just do as much as just leaving that person be.
Yeah, don't make it worse. Some of us get a divorce and we're okay. We move on. We're good. We're happy, right? But other people may have a harder time with dealing with that. So don't go out your way trying to make it worse for nobody.
You be sensitive. You be sensitive to the other person, to the spouse that your ex or husband or wife, whatever. You be sensitive to that, but in that still you move on.
Yeah, let it go.
Life, everybody. I say all the time that everybody can't go with you. Some people that start out with you can't go with you. And this is how it is.
That's the reality of it.
Everybody can't go. So you have these relationships, and you probably have a relationship with that person, especially if you have kids, that you're going to have a relationship with that person. Be more sensitive to that be sensitive to that person. I'm going to say be more sensitive. I just say be sensitive to that person, because if you're a person that can move on from, or you're a person that can accept the divorce, or can accept that I moved on or you moved on, doesn't mean that the other person can. So you be sensitive to that person, especially if you got kids with a woman, or y'all gotta share. You know what I mean?
Don't rub it in, because some of us move on. We go higher in everything that we're doing, and then we go out of our way to try to let the ex know, look what I got going on, look what I'm doing.
No.
And you struggling.
No.
That's not godlike. It's not cute, and it's not cool. So when God when He has elevated you from your divorce, take that blessing and pray for your ex, that they find a healing, that they find a way to get through and to navigate through this life, because divorce is hurtful and it's a process that you have to go through, and everybody goes through it differently, right? But we want to still respect one another.
Yeah.
Whether it don't matter who was wrong, it don't matter who was right. Respect the fact that I was married to this person. It didn't work out, but I wish you well.
I wish you well. See ya.
See ya.
And
keep moving.
And leave what you said. Leave all that you learned, or that you didn't learn in that relationship, in that marriage.
Leave it alone.
Leave it back.
Leave it back, because
don't take that bitterness on with you.
Even if they talk about you, because you're gonna have exes that are going to tell stories on you. Let them
talk. Look.
They are going to paint you out to be the bad person.
Listen, when they talk, you just count your blessings. That's all you do. You count.
Count your many
blessings. They go 2. They go 3. When you count it and let them do what they do, and you don't never react to it. You never do a retaliation towards it. You always still try to be the bigger person about it. Just keep on counting your blessings.
You be unbothered when
Don't
has
worry
taken
about
you
it.
to new heights. When He has blessed your life in a way that is so fulfilling, um, um, probably more than you've ever expected, then you become unbothered. You become unbothered by what society expects you to be. You become unbothered by what society expects your marriage to be. You become unbothered by what your ex may say about you because you know who you are. You know what you brought to the table, and you know that you did your best. So you become unbothered. So you just pray for them and you keep moving. Because we don't really know, even though we were married to these individuals, we don't know their inner struggles. We don't know what they were truly going through.
Found
We
out
don't- yeah.
what the inner struggles was. But
Oh yeah, you found out
we
things.
all have inner struggles.
We do.
We do.
We got it.
We have to
We have
accept it.
history of trauma, history of.
You know what? How I feel like I had a now. Let's move on from divorce to now remarrying, right? You know why I feel like I now have a blessed marriage? Because I'm able to be transparent with my wife. I'm able to be transparent about everything that I go through, or everything that that I would hide, that I would try to hide in the previous marriage, or that I was, neglecting of letting the other person know, because of how you gonna take it, or how you gonna look at me, or you make me look. We sat at the table. We laid everything out. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
Yep.
Want it, love it or not, this is me.
And it's
I'm talking
okay
about
if
the
it's
good,
not.
the
Yeah.
bad,
The ugly.
This is me.
everything.
When I seen and when I understood that my wife took me as me, I didn't have to act like nobody else. I didn't have to be another person for her, or I had to be, for other person to look. That's when I felt like our marriage took off. And it was from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Took off from the gate. When I didn't have to be anybody but me, that's when I feel like our marriage started flourishing. Our marriage been flourishing since the day, because we had that, what we
We
call,
have an understanding.
and we had what we tell everybody always to have, that interview date.
Interview
You gotta
dates.
have that interview date. When
And
you
nothing is
date,
off limits.
You date with a purpose, like my wife says. She say all the time, date with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Have that interview date where you lay out the good,
The
the
bad,
bad, the ugly of who you are.
everything.
And that's why I say divorce is a good thing, because divorce helps you to
It
realize
teaches you.
the good, the bad, the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It helps
It
you realize
teaches you,
that,
yeah.
I do this. I do this.
And that's what you call
sometimes.
embracing the lesson. The divorce is, it can be hurtful, it can be hard, it can really tear at your heart. But if you seek God, then you will be able to embrace the lesson that come from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it better you.
It betters you. You can't get a divorce and not do a self-evaluation. You gotta do a self-evaluation.
Right.
No matter what happened in the divorce, Lord, I need you to restore me. I need you to fix me, so that I can be not only good for my next marriage, if that's what you have for me, but so I can be good for your kingdom.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it all goes back to what we do for God.
Listen.
And how we can work for Him.
Listen, I wasn't, and this is how you have to have your mindset, because I wasn't in the mindset, and this is for anybody out there that's looking to get married, or to aspire to get married one day after the divorce. That's what this is why we doing this.
Right.
Somebody says something about it, we talking about it.
Right.
Right. We was both divorced,
Mm-hmm.
so we can able to talk on this subject. But I was able. I forgot my thought.
You was able to get married again because you found the love of your life and you just couldn't say no.
Heck no. No. That wasn't it. But listen, I just remember it. The Bible states seek ye first
The
the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you. After I got my divorce, I did not seek to be married again. You know what I seek? Because I said, like I said earlier, divorce was a good thing. And I say that's my opinion because it brought me closer to God. What I did was want to get closer to him. And when I realized I was doing what the word says, then my wife came. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all those things that you want will be added unto you. It's simple. One thing God cannot do is go back on what he promised you.
That's right.
He can't go back on his word.
We talked about that, how neither one of us had a desire to go back into getting married.
No.
We we talked about that at the very beginning of our relationship, that we got a divorce and
I wasn't getting married again.
We had peace with raising our kids and being by ourselves, and we were okay with it because we did self work.
Right.
He worked on himself. I worked on myself,
Right.
and I came to find out that I was okay by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I did see God and to get me prepared if he saw fit for me to get married again. I wanted to make sure that I was ready and I was prepared and I was who I wanted to be as a person, as a woman, before I go back into another relationship. But I was at peace if I didn't get married again because I was so in love with God. And I was so in love with myself, and I was so in love with being a mother, and that was fulfilling to me enough for me to not for me to be okay if I never got married again. You know, so we never went into it thinking, okay, we're looking for a husband, we're looking for a wife. We were trying to strengthen our connection with God on an individual level, right?
So that's,
and then it was like oops for us, but it wasn't oops for God when we met.
Right. So that's the key.
Yeah.
And
we said that in the interview date.
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to know the secret of having a healthy relationship, don't think about getting into another relationship. Don't think about having a healthy relationship. Think about getting closer to God. Seeking him first, because he already knows the desires of your heart. He already knows what you want. You don't have to put that before God. He wants you to do, and everything that he does, even in divorce, even in marriage, is he wants us to get closer to him.
That's it.
Even in your trial, even in your tribulations, even all the things that you go through, God's person is to have a relationship with you.
That's right.
He wants a relationship with you.
However he can get to you, to get to him.
That's the purpose of God. And once God have a relationship with you, he knows the desires of your heart. So if you're looking for a man, if you're looking for a woman, and you want a healthy relationship, the secret, and I'm telling you, I'm sharing it with you tonight.
And that was on our wedding invitation. Seek ye first.
That's the secret. That's the secret.
Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven.
It's the secret right there
and his righteousness.
And right there in clear sight.
That's right.
And that's all he wants, is have a relationship with you. And
and we're still doing it. We're married.
Yeah.
But we still go before God.
And that's how you keep
every day.
That's how you keep the blessings flowing.
Yeah.
You know, you make sure you keep a relationship with God. It's just like any relationship that you have. You have any kids, then you know when your kids don't call you, even if you raise them for however long, they're 18 now, they go out. If they don't ever call you, how does that make you feel?
Right. And we got two 18-year-old boys that's in the house, and we have to stop them sometimes and be like, hey, what you got going on? Because they just, they be with school and track, and B's are doing this and B's are doing that. We have to come and see about them, and we have to make them come see about us.
Yeah. So that's the key. And I thank God for what he done. I didn't ask for. I wasn't seeking to be married again. I tell you the truth. I wasn't seeking to be married again. And I thought I would never be married again because I said when I got married the first time that I would never marry again. But see, that was my plan.
Yeah, I said it too. I would never get married again. And we talked about this on our first day, interview day. One of the questions that you asked is, do you want to get married again? And we both like,
nah.
We was like, you know, we
Now-
okay if
now-
it doesn't happen. But
Now, one thing I do know,
what?
if something happened, I'm just gonna be like, oh Lord. We said we ain't having no kids. And I'm just gonna put it out there. I know it's in front of your people on live and all that kind of stuff. So if we ever have any kids, that's gonna be straight from God. I'm too old. I am too old for that. You
Listen,
understand?
that's a whole nother live, guys. Okay.
That's a whole other live, baby.
Yeah,
we gotta wrap this up.
if
too.
we come on this live, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Introduce the ending part we're gonna do, baby. We're gonna do the
So
ending.
after
There you go.
every live from now on, we're going to do some Tonight Let's Talk. One of my good friends had got us this. I think she's on this live. But we have been, these little questions for couples are really, really good and very entertaining. And we actually, you know, even though we feel like we know a lot about each other, we actually find out a lot more about each other with using these. So you guys check these out. It's called Tonight Let's Talk. So after every live from now on, we're going to do a couple of Tonight Let's Talk. Do I need to shuffle these, or did you already shuffle?
I know, I ain't sure.
Okay, so we're just winging it.
Okay, yeah. This is what I read today.
Okay.
I was telling you about Mandela, right?
And it's funny that it's talking about forgiveness versus bitterness. We have a minister, Knighton. Let me tell you about this book here. Right? Gave us this book. It's called Crushing by T.D. Jakes. And we think we're doing some type of sponsorship. but it's really, really, it's a really, really good, insightful book, and it's a daily book that we read every day.
If anybody know about Mandela, right? Mandela was thrown in jail for his because he sought after liberation, right? And this was talking about something like what we're talking about today about forgiveness versus bitterness, leaving
Right.
your bitterness behind,
Right.
forgiving and going on, right?
Right.
All right. Basically, it says look at the example of Mandela, right? He was a man that was jailed for 27 years because he was fighting for justice, right? He was cut off from his family, forced to do hard labor, treated as less than a citizen, all because he felt a calling to seek liberation for his people. All right? Mandela saw prison as the worst possible punishment, but he himself said he did not hold on to the feeling of bitterness and in the hatred that were easily built up while he was locked up behind bars. No, he said that instead, as I walked out the door toward that gate that I would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'll still be in prison. So that's kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier. That if you don't leave the bad times of being disappointed, those times where
Disappointment. That's
you
a
were
really
hurt,
good one too.
times you were hurt, the times where you felt like you didn't have, you was living like roommates. Just two people living in a house, man, woman living in a house.
Married but living like roommates.
Maybe
Yeah.
not even the same bed. To Mandela, he was living in a place where nobody wants to go, which is prison, what he felt like was punishment. Sometimes people think as when they're going through a divorce, it's kind of like punishment, or it's kind of like a bad place you don't want to be. But when God allows you
To your what? We have been these little questions. He was Lot's wife,
and she turned around,
and she turned.
I am too old for that. You
Listen, that's a whole nother live, guys. Okay.
That's a whole nother live, baby.
Yeah,
we gotta wrap this up.
If we come on this live, never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind.
Never mind. Introduce the ending part we're gonna do, baby. We're gonna do
So after every live from now on, we're going to do some Tonight Let's Talk. One of my good friends had got us this. I think she's on this live. But we have been, these little questions for couples are really, really good and very entertaining. And we actually, even though we feel like we know a lot about each other, we actually find out a lot more about each other with using these. So you guys check these out. It's called Tonight Let's Talk. So after every live from now on, we're going to do a couple of Tonight Let's Talk. Do I need to shuffle these, or did you already shuffle?
No, I ain't shuffling.
Okay, so we're just winging it.
Okay, yeah. This is what I read today.
Okay.
I was telling you about Mandela, right?
And it's funny that it's talking about forgiveness versus bitterness. We have a minister, Knighton. Let me tell you about this book here. Right? Gave us this book. It's called Crushing by T.D. Jakes. And we think we're doing some type of sponsorship. It's a really good, insightful book, and it's a daily book that we read every day.
If anybody know about Mandela, right? Mandela was thrown in jail for his because he sought after liberation, right? And this was talking about something like what we're talking about today about forgiveness versus bitterness, leaving your bitterness behind, forgiving and going on, right? All right. Basically, it says look at the example of Mandela, right? He was a man that was jailed for 27 years because he was fighting for justice, right? He was cut off from his family, forced to do hard labor, treated as less than a citizen, all because he felt a calling to seek liberation for his people. All right? Mandela saw prison as the worst possible punishment, but he himself said he did not hold on to the feeling of bitterness and the hatred that were easily built up while he was locked up behind bars. No, he said that instead, as I walked out the door toward that gate that I would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'll still be in prison. So that's kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier. That if you don't leave the bad times of being disappointed, those times where
disappointment, that's
you
a
were
really
hurt,
good one too.
times you were hurt, the times where you felt like you didn't have, you was living like roommates. Just two people living in a house, man, woman living in a house.
Married but living like roommates.
Maybe not even the same bed. To Mandela, he was living in a place where nobody wants to go, which is prison, what he felt like was punishment. Sometimes people think as when they're going through a divorce, it's kind of like punishment, or it's kind of like a bad place you don't want to be. But when God allows you to, like you said, give you direction to move from that situation, you leave all that disappointment, all that bitterness, all that
leave
hurt
it behind. You leave it
all that
behind.
behind.
Yep. And you have to keep pushing forward. What was the lady in the Bible where God said to run and don't look back?
Was that Lot's wife?
I think it was Lot's wife.
And she turned around.
And she turned. God gave her instructions. You know, she was trying to save her. And he said, "Run and don't look back." And she looked back, being disobedient. She looked back.
Sometimes you want to see how it looked.
And see, that's the thing. That's the human side of it.
But it's burning back there, babe.
Listen,
Look at that fire.
When God has,
What he said?
when He has called you out, when He has led you out of the wilderness, because sometimes being in a toxic marriage is like wilderness, and you struggling, but you still trying to hold on to your loyalty, your vows to God, your vows to your mate, but you are really struggling and you are suffering in the wilderness. And when God leads you out, you keep going and you seek him and you let him lead you into the next chapter, the next season that he has for you. You don't look back, you don't laugh at your ex that may be struggling. We do that though. We give it our friends and we talk about, girl, he going through, girl, or man, she really struggling. She thought she was doing good, but when I left her, she's just really going down, gaining 20 pounds and just, going from man to man or whatever the case may be. But that's your way of looking back. When you're talking about the ex and what they may be doing or struggling, you're looking back.
That's your way of
looking back.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So you look forward and you thank God that I got out.
Wow.
And you wish them well for the next season and chapter in their life.
Wow. Okay. Well, I just want to leave with that, man.
I like that, babe.
No.
All right. We're gonna answer a couple of questions on the tonight. Let's talk, and then we are out. You want to go first?
Let's talk about sex, baby.
No.
No. That ain't it.
No.
Oh, okay. Let me see. What it say? Let's talk.
Let's talk. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
When I draw the card.
You draw the card, and then you answer you recite the question, and then you answer the question.
I ask. Okay. This is my card. It says,
Don't try to hide it.
if you could heal a pain inside of me. Oh.
Next question.
This is nasty.
Okay.
No, but listen, we're going to say it.
Okay, let's go with it. Let's get it.
If you could heal a pain inside of me, which would it be? And why? I don't understand it.
If you could heal a pain inside of me, which would it be and why? If I could heal a pain inside of you.
If you could heal a pain inside of me, what would my pain be and why?
You don't have no pain.
I don't have no pain?
No.
That wasn't a good one.
That wasn't a good question.
Can I get another one?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
All right, let me
Okay, let's try it.
That one was good.
Yeah.
That was good enough.
But they can't see you. You have
Oh,
to come
okay.
to the camera.
My bad. Was there any time in our relationship when you doubted it?
No, this is good stuff right here.
Okay. Was there any time in our relationship when you doubted it wouldn't work out and didn't explain? Is there any time in our relationship when you doubted it?
That's you. You got to answer that question.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
That's your question.
In our relationship, we have. Listen, in our relationship, we have times where. Can I share?
Sure, we're practicing. We're gonna be transparent.
Okay.
We're transparent with each other anyway.
Okay.
But we're gonna be a little transparent with y'all.
Okay. A time where I figured out it wasn't gonna work. Listen, we had the same kind of. We got the same kind of personality, attitude that I figured that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work because she is a lot like me. And I told her one time, I said, you are more, she is more gangster than me. And I use the word gangster, but you know what I mean. She more meaner than me. She's mean.
I'm not mean.
Listen, y'all, I don't know if y'all know her, but she's mean. I was like, wow, I thought I was mean, but she's mean. I'm like, hold up.
I need my people on here that know me to tell him.
Listen. We had an argument, and it was. We went back and forth. You know the arguments where. Can I share? You know those arguments where you in the house, but you ain't talking.
Right.
You ain't talking.
Right.
You walk by. You know what I mean? That kind of.
Now our arguments don't consist of hollering and screaming or cussing each other. We don't.
Nah,
Our arguments are more. They're like silent but deadly.
But see, the thing is, because go back to it again, and I don't mean to take it back. The interview date, right? When you get mad, you don't need to say something that you're gonna regret.
That's right.
Because that stays in that person's spirit. I don't care if you know, and men, whatever, you know, we get mad and we might want to use the bitch word.
Don't try it.
And you know what I mean? You want to get mad and say that the woman, your wife, your loved one would never forget it. They will always bring it up.
Never do it. Never do it.
Watch what you say when you're angry, because that could be used against you in a court of law. But listen,
and you breaking the intimacy, you breaking your bond, your relationship down when you be degrading like that.
Don't be careful.
Don't call your woman out her name, and don't call your man out his name. It's not cute. It's not cool.
We talked about it. We talked about it in my previous marriage. That was things that I learned not to do anymore in a relationship with anybody, because even though I felt it with me by the words that were said that hurt me, I turned around and still said it to hurt her because I was hurt.
Right.
Like they say, hurt people, whatever.
Right.
That's what I was doing. So don't ever go back and forth. It's best to, like we established, when you're mad, you need your time. Let the person have their time. Let that person have their little space, and then come together and talk about it.
Right.
But this particular time, right? This is when I knew we weren't gonna make it. This is when I knew we weren't gonna make it. I was like, hold up, I'm giving her time. I'm giving her time. How much damn time she needs?
As much time as I need. As much time as I need.
And I said, hold up. So it was a particular argument that we argued about. I ain't gonna go into the argument, but when I gave her time, like we established at the interview date, we gonna give us each other time.
We did, and
she needed more time than I think that she needed, and I was like, hold up, we need to talk about this. And he was like, I'm not on the level. I'm not on the level. Like, I'm like, when you gonna get on the level? I'm hungry. I gotta go to work. And what you doing?
You said, when you gonna be on the level?
When you gonna be on? So that particular time, I figured that it's gonna be a long. This have to be tender. This have to be tenderized. I gotta get that meat tenderized. I had to tenderize that meat. You understand? So once I got that meat tenderized and I found a way to get in to talk, then
how you get in?
Listen, I can give away all my secrets, but this is the thing: when you find your woman, you will find a way to get in to the ways to make it tender. You get that meat from the grocery store. Sometimes that meat ain't tender. You gotta get that thing out and start beating it. Now, I'm not saying I beat her, but she did get tender.
I can't play with you. Babe, can you finish your story?
So that was my thing. That's when I knew that we had a problem. But when you love that person, you find a way to navigate. And I found a way to bring her to the table so we could talk. You never want to go without talking. So I found a way so we could talk. And we talked, and we made up, and everything was good. So, yeah. But that was one time in our relationship when I knew that, I had a little doubt. I had a little doubt. I'm like, oh.
All right, my question is...
No, you have to read it.
All right, I'm gonna read this question.
No, we have to go by the rules. The rules is to read the book. We can't navigate. Even though
all right.
We got church folks on here now.
Listen, we married.
We got church folks on here.
We married. Okay.
All right.
It says, am I as passionate during sex as I was in the beginning?
Wow. So you have to answer that, right?
I guess I answer, am I as passionate during? I think I'm the same way as I was when we first started. Oh, hold on. Hey, Rave.
What's up?
Right, behave.
I think I'm the same as I was when we first began.
What happened to the table?
Oh, it has to be washed.
Right, we don't lie.
Yeah, we're on live, Rave.
My bad.
Okay.
So I think
explain.
it said, am I as passionate? Okay,
Are you?
so let me say this. Let me let Raven get a piece of cake so I can really so I can tell y'all what's up.
I hope.
No, don't do that.
I want to see the answer. That's what I'm trying to
The
figure out.
answer, Raven, can you go ahead and get your cake so we can have our grown up conversation?
I'm about to do
The
it.
boys, y'all off from work already?
Now it's time to really go.
Who been farting?
That's Mighty Crab.
Yeah, we had Mighty Crab tonight. What do you say? It smell like fart.
Hey, I'm coming out with a new song called. What is it called? Do I ever cross your mind?
Do I
Coming
ever
out on all
cross your
platforms
mind?
next month.
Do I ever cross your mind?
Stay tuned.
Do I ever cross
Keyshawn, are you on the song?
mind?
Wait, hold on. He actually got the flow a little bit.
That's Brian McKnight.
Yeah, that's an old
that's
jam.
awesome.
Do
I
I
know.
ever cross your mind?
But nah, this is different.
Anytime.
All right.
Okay, don't give him no more. You
Yeah,
don't mind.
yeah, that's nice.
All
I
right,
like it.
thank y'all. But go back to the question. you
So
were
the
saying.
question, so we let these boys get go in the room.
Huh?
I'm waiting on y'all to go in the room so we can have.
Alright.
Did you have a good night at work?
It was great.
It was straight. How many hours y'all work tonight? 2.5?
3.
Oh. Okay. You work tomorrow night too? Okay.
You work Sunday.
Okay. Why you looking like- am I as passionate during sex as I was in the beginning?
Do I ever cross
So
your mind?
the thing with that is, what we do is never the same.
Hey, look, don't give him too much now. Don't give him too much.
I'm
now.
not. I'm trying to.
You giving him too much.
I'm just saying.
You giving him too much now.
I'm just saying. It's,
Okay,
It's,
okay.
it's never the same.
Gotcha.
So it's a different experience every time. So
Listen.
the passion is there. And,
Okay.
And I give a little something different. All the
Hey,
time.
hey, easy, easy now, easy. Man, come on now. Chill out now. Chill out.
So that's my answer. What do you think? Do you agree with what I just said, or what do you think?
Listen, let me tell you something. That's a whole nother live. But let me tell you something. When you are in love, or when you have passion, it's different ways to have passion, or to do things with passion, right?
Right.
If we're talking about sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a passionate guy. So, so everything I do is with passion. So passion is a part of everything I do, whether it's sex, whether it's whatever.
Any kind of intimacy that we do is we put a lot of passion in.
Listen, it's just like the person that you would think somebody else look at and say, that's ugly. The person that's with that person thinks he's beautiful. You understand? So what we deem to be passionate might not be deemed for anybody else to be passionate. Somebody might look at it like, that's boring. Y'all ain't doing nothing special. Y'all just, that ain't nothing. But to us, it's passion.
It's passion.
It's very passionate. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Next question.
Next question. One more question, babe, before we go.
All right.
One more.
Yep, it's on you, boo.
One more. Here we go.
One more for the go.
Do you feel like I'm living up to my full potential as a person? Why or why not? Do you?
I absolutely think that you raise the bar
Thank you.
when it comes to being a man, when it comes to being a father, when it comes to being a husband.
Thank you.
You always look for different ways every day to raise the bar and to be better, to make more money for the household, to open up different opportunities for the family to grow. You're always doing something to continue to elevate us as a family. And so and that go and I want to say that to say this, that when it comes to choosing your mate, your husband, for the ladies, make sure that you seek God when you choose your husband that is supposed to be the head of your household, the leader, the father figure to your children if you don't have children together, the man that's supposed to be the overseer of your heart, right? A lot of women are mishandled because we don't put our hearts in the right hands. Okay? So when you allow God to handle your heart and to lead you and guide you, then he'll teach you how your earthly king is supposed to lead you and guide you and handle you. So the answer to your question, again, like I said, is you raise the bar. You handle my heart well. You handle my life well. You're a good father figure to our children. You're an awesome provider. And so, yeah, you raise the bar.
Giving the people's hour right now. But yep, we'll end it with that.
Yep. So, life after a divorce. Forgive yourself. Forgive your mate. Do not play the blame game. Take ownership of what you did wrong. And ask God to help you to do better so that you're prepared for the next journey. Appreciate your journey with your ex-husband or ex-wife, whether it was good or bad. Appreciate the journey and everything that it brought. Some of our marriages brought beautiful children. Some of it brought beautiful experiences that we can look back and say, "Hey, we did this together. We accomplished this together." So, no matter if you ended up in a divorce, you accomplished something together. So appreciate that. You know what I mean? And then at the end, embrace the lesson. God is always trying to teach us something. He's always trying to make us better as people, as husbands, as wives, as parents. So embrace the lesson and do not forget to seek God for the next journey in your life. So, hey, hit that like button.
Like and subscribe. Yeah.
Share. And also, don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Keeping Up with the Smiths. And we are out of here, and we'll be back at y'all sooner than later.
Yep.
Peace out. You guys be blessed, be safe out there, and have a great night.
Be safe. We out.